What's up, y'all? This is Marcus Sniffles, and it is Pro Bowl weekend. So, on this episode, we're going to talk about our Pro Bowlers, potential future Pro Bowlers, and if we should trade any of these Pro Bowlers. So, let's go ahead and talk about it.
Make the f***ing rules now. No more talk. Just win. Let's go.
Touchdown! I-N-D-Y! Anthony Richardson.
So before we get into it, make sure you guys are liking the video, subscribe to the channel. Really helps me out. It helps get my videos and all that stuff out there. So I really appreciate it. Helps out the channel, helps us to grow as a community and all that good stuff. So I appreciate that. So this year, the Colts had three Pro Bowl. I don't know why I'm having a problem saying that. Had three Pro Bowlers make the roster this year. Quentin Nelson, which is always like a staple for this team. He's made the Pro Bowl and All-Pro team every year since he's been drafted. Jonathan Taylor, this is his second Pro Bowl, and Zaire Franklin, this is his first Pro Bowl after leading the NFL in tackles for like the third year in a row. So I saw that, and in my mind, I started thinking, if for some strange reason a team called asking for any one of these guys, would I trade any of them, or which one would I trade? And I think the obvious answer for the one that has that, like, you're just not trading whatsoever, has no, like, you're hanging up the phone on them, is Quentin Nelson. Quentin Nelson walked into the league as a top five guard from his rookie season to now. Like, he's just been that. He's either been like at bare minimum. I think his worst year might have been either last year or 2 years ago, but he was still all pro and still a Pro Bowler. He's still an elite player. I feel like as an offense at our very peak, at our best, the best plays are, our best running plays are with him pulling around and leading the charge, whether it be leading Jonathan Taylor or AR in the running game, or just straight up just running right behind him. Like, I've never seen an offensive lineman be used as a weapon as much as Quentin Nelson has been throughout his career. Like, I know like Penei Sewell kind of gets that a little bit more now, but I feel like Quentin Nelson was like the first offensive lineman where it's just like, this guy is a weapon and we need to use his strengths, ability, mobility, speed, strength, intelligence, and deploy him, whether it be in the passing game or the running game or anything. And he'd be a guy that I would not trade. Like, that's, if he retired today, I think just because of his position, he wouldn't be a first ballot Hall of Famer, but he would be a Hall of Famer. He's a Hall of Fame player. Like, he's on that trajectory. You don't make as many Pro Bowls and All-Pro teams as he does and not make the Hall of Fame. So for me, he would be, we're not even entertaining that call. Now, he would probably get the best return. Now, we'd probably get the most back for him, but I don't feel like you can replace a Hall of Fame player on, like you take Quentin Nelson out, like, the offensive line, the level of productivity drops dramatically without him. So the next one, we're going to stay on offense and go with Jonathan Taylor. He was top 5 in rushing this year, had almost like 1,500 yards, double-digit rushing touchdowns. I know the Broncos play. Like, I know that was a boneheaded play. It is what it is. But when he is healthy and when he is playing at an elite level, he's a top 10 running back in the NFL, if not top 5. Like, he is just an elite runner, great vision, great burst, pass blocking, and, catching the ball could be better. But as a strictly as a runner, as a running back, he's one of the best out there. Like, the speed and power that he has at his size is like Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry-ish. Like, he is one of those like elite kinds of athletes. And if a team called asking to trade for him, I would be more willing to think about that, just because he's a running back. He's not old, but he's on his second contract, and most running backs after their second contract tend to decline. Now, if our offensive line kind of stays the way that it does, you would obviously want to keep Jonathan Taylor. And I don't think a lot of teams are willing to give up a lot of value for a running back with as many carries as he has had on him and his injury history. He also had a lot of carries in college, so I don't know how many people would want to deal with that. So for me, I would probably look into keeping him also. And our third player, Zaire Franklin, has led the league in tackles 3 years in a row. He's not an old player, but he's still like right in that middle area. I know there's a lot of like negativity surrounding him when it comes to like, the podcast and Pat McAfee and just back and forth with fans. And a lot of people were kind of turned off with his like online persistence in trying to get into the Pro Bowl. Like this is his first Pro Bowl. And it kind of felt like, I don't want to say he was like begging to get into Pro Bowl, but he was really out there trying to get into the Pro Bowl. And a lot of people were kind of turned off by that because it's like, if you're good enough to make the Pro Bowl, like your play should speak for itself. And now if I'm Zaire, I kind of look at that and say, well, I led the league in tackles 2 years in a row and I didn't make it. And now I've led the league in tackles again, and I don't want to miss this opportunity to make the Pro Bowl. So like, I get it, but I also see both sides of it. Like he just did so many off the field things that annoyed people, that him also kind of begging to get into the Pro Bowl while leading the league in tackles and missed tackles was pretty frustrating. I still think that he's a good player. I still think he's a solid leader on the field and probably, I would assume, in the locker room. He's still, I don't want to say he's undersized, but he's just not good in like pass protection. And he kind of does, not pass protection, pass coverage. And he tends to get lost in the wash when it comes to the running game sometimes. And it's just like, he's getting a lot of these tackles like 5 yards down the field where it's just like, bro, are you going to like step up and like stop the run, do any of that stuff? So I don't know how much value he would actually have on the trade market. But if I had to like rank the guys who would get the most on the trade market, it's obviously Quentin Nelson. And then it's probably like a toss up between Jonathan Taylor and Zaire Franklin. Me personally, if I absolutely had to trade one of them, I think it would be Jonathan Taylor, just because with the offensive line and, maybe the potential draft picks that you could get, you can maybe find another serviceable running back. Like obviously Jonathan Taylor is a top 5 running back. Like I'm not trying to discredit him. It's just a mental exercise that I was doing and something I thought about. And I figured I would share with you guys and see who, out of all the Pro Bowlers that we had this year, out of the 3, which one would you be willing to trade and which one would you be happy saying like, you know what, he's good, but we can let's move on from him and maybe start over. And it's kind of weird saying that about Jonathan Taylor when you consider he's probably the best player on our offense. And, Quentin Nelson's the best player, but for our offense, if Jonathan Taylor has to be the one to get going. So, before we talk about who has the potential of making their first Pro Bowl, this Pro Bowl word is killing me. Before we talk about who has the potential to make their first Pro Bowl as a Colt, I need you guys, what are we like, almost 10 minutes into this video? Like the video. Like, just hit one of these buttons, like the video, subscribe to the channel. We got good stuff coming, and I don't want you guys to miss it, and I really appreciate it. So, if you look at the roster, we haven't had that many Pro Bowlers outside of the 3 I named. Kenny Moore, Ryan Kelly, and I believe that is it, have made the Pro Bowl. So I was kind of thinking, who has the potential to make their first Pro Bowl coming into next season? And my initial thought was to look at the offense. I think, like, obviously AR has not shown enough for me to have like faith that he would make a Pro Bowl next year. But then also you have to look at the AFC as a whole. At the quarterback position, you have Josh Allen, Tua, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, CJ Stroud, Trevor Lawrence, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert. That's 8 guys off rip, and and only 3 quarterbacks make the Pro Bowl. So I feel like the locks for the next 5 years, and we're just talking like these group of guys will always be in the Pro Bowl no matter what. Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow. Those four guys are going to rotate in and out of the Pro Bowl every year for the next probably 4 years. So you have to be pretty much the second best quarterback in the conference to make a Pro Bowl at this point. So I don't see it for AR. I don't see it for the receivers either, just because there's a lot of talented receivers, even just in our division with Nico Collins, BJ Thomas for the Jaguars as a rookie, Zay Flowers, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins might stay in the conference. Rashid Rice for the Chiefs, I think he's going to probably make it. And whatever receiver ends up going to the Chargers, I think they would have a good shot of making it. So it's probably a no for, Michael Pittman and Alec Pierce. Offensive line, I think someone that would have a good chance of making it is Bernhard Raimann. He's been a solid left tackle for about a year and a half, possibly a top 10 left tackle. I don't know if he's like a recognizable name enough to make a Pro Bowl, but I think if like coaches and stuff vote on that stuff, he could have an opportunity to make it. So on the offensive side, I'm going to give it to Bernhard Raimann. On the defensive side, I don't see it for any of our cornerbacks because I just don't know if they can stay healthy. As far as Jalen Jones and Juju Brents, or more so Juju Brents. Jalen Jones, as much as I like him, he isn't like, he had a couple of games early on where he did force a lot more turnovers and get interceptions, but he just maybe the defense will help that and give him more opportunities to make plays. But I just feel like he didn't make enough splash plays as a cornerback to make a Pro Bowl. The person that I would nominate to make their very first Pro Bowl in this new defensive scheme would be Nick Cross. Now, last year, Nick Cross had almost 200 tackles. He had a few interceptions. He had like only one sack. But I believe in this new system, he'll be playing a little bit more closer to the ball or closer to the line of scrimmage, and will have an opportunity to make more plays, whether it be in the passing game or rushing the passer, being a run stuffer. I don't want to compare him to Bob Sanders, but they kind of have a similar body type as far as like being, big, strong, and fast guys that like to hit and make hits. So for the defensive side, I'm going to lean towards Nick Cross being the one to make their first Pro Bowl. And for offense, I got Bernhard Raimann. So let me know in the comments who you think is going to be the first time Pro Bowl heading into next season. And we'll talk to you on the next one. Peace.
Thanks for watching, babe. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel.
What's up, y'all? This is Marcus Sniffles, and damn it. Talk about our